Alright, this video is meant to show you how to set up some conditional formatting rules in your spreadsheet. So conditional formatting means that something is going to happen in your spreadsheet automatically because something else happens. So think of conditional formatting as a reaction. Okay, so if something happens in a particular cell, then this automatic format will happen. We call that conditional formatting. So based on the condition of that cell, then do this. So we can tell the computer what that then is, okay, what we want it to have happen, and we can also tell the computer what information needs to be in that cell, or what is the condition of that cell in order for that other thing to happen. Okay, so we're going to be doing it for a bunch of cells in this example. We're going to do it all at once. We're going to highlight everything. We're going to set up these rules, and then we're going to test them out. So, just like a formula or a function will add up data that's going on in your spreadsheet, depending on whatever you click on and how you set up that formula. Well, conditional formatting isn't called a formula or a function, it's called a rule. So we're going to select by clicking and holding and dragging all of these cells in our leftover account balance section. Now the reason why we're doing leftover account balance is because, remember, your leftover account balance is what you have in your pocket or your bank account after all of your expenses are paid for that paycheck, and after you put some money away in savings, and after you are already allotted some money for your personal expenditures. This is what you've got left over. So we want to make sure that we have a decent amount of money left over. And we definitely want to make sure we're not getting close to zero or getting in the negatives. If we're getting in the negatives, that means that we now either owe money or we just don't have enough money to pay for the things that we want to pay for. So we're going to set up conditional formatting so that these cells change colors to let us know. Because in a larger spreadsheet, when you have this spanned out for an entire year, you want to be able to scroll through and see. If there's a bright red cell, that means something's wrong. It's a red flag. We got to take a look at what's going on. So let's take a look at all of these cells. Like I said, we're going to highlight everything that's under the leftover account balance section. And there's a couple ways to do this. I can either right-click right here and then go to conditional formatting down here, or I can highlight everything, go to format at the top, and click on conditional formatting right here. Either way is fine, both does the same thing. So I'm going to click this, and then a window is going to pop up here. Now, it's already done some formatting. It automatically turned everything green here, but we can change all of that. So let's break down what's going on in the window here. This is saying apply to range B6 through J6. So remember, we identify cells by the column and then the row. So B6, so this cell, all the way through to J6. So applying to that range, format those cells if this happens. So right now it's set up that if the cell is not empty, then turn it this green color. And they're all obviously not empty. So we want to change this rule right here to not, I'm not worried about it if it's not empty. I'm worried about it if it drops below a certain number. So let's set up the first rule because it's the easiest one, which is if the number, I'm going to click on this window here and open up all the different rules that I can use. And I'm going to go to less than or equal to, and I'm going to put in 0. Now that means that if there's a 0 or a negative number in any one of those cells, then I want to change this thing bright red. And in order to see the content, the number that's in that cell a little bit better, we actually have to change the text color from black to white. Just like it contrasts better and it pops out. And I'm not going to change bold or italic or any of that. I'm going to leave it just like this. So this is our first rule. If the content in those cells is 0 or less, turn it bright red. So we're going to click done. Okay. Now that's applied to everything in there. Now, just as a quick example to show you, if I click on, let's say, my rent right here, and I put in $400. because maybe my rent is 400 instead of 200. And if I click enter, you can see right off the bat, I can't do it. It popped up as negative. So again, using this as a tool to figure out what kind of things you can and cannot do in your life, you know right off the bat that you can't afford a $400 rent right now. And so maybe you have to either adjust some of your other expenses, or you have to find a rent that is less than $400. So I'm going to put this back to 200. So we're back at the beginning. I'm going to highlight those cells again because we're going to add more rules. So instead of it just being bright red if it's 0 or less, we'll give ourselves a couple warning signs too. So let's add another rule. Same things, same cells are highlighted. And we're not going to do if it's not empty, because again, that's the default. We're going to do in between, so we're going to do a range. So we're going to find this thing down here that says is between. So if our number in there is between, let's say $1, well, let's say 0, okay? If it's between 0 and let's say $100, then we want to change this to, let's say, a something that isn't as crazy bright as the red. I'm going to do like this orange maybe. Yeah, that orange looks good. Okay, and I think I can leave the black. It actually shows you right here the color and what the text would look like. So if I do that, it becomes bold right here in the example. So I'm going to leave it just like this. That looks good. So I hit done, and then I'm going to add one more rule, and this one's going to be even less potent of a color. So let's add one more. Same cells, and I'm going to do is between, and let's say now $100 and $200, and we're going to make that color. Let's do. I don't want to do that color because that's my total expenses down on the bottom. Actually, I do want to do that color. I'm going to change this total expenses color at the bottom. So let's hit done. Okay, so now we've got like these 3 warnings that are popping up. Okay, so I'm going to click away from that, and just very quickly I'm going to highlight these down here. I'm just going to change this to a different color. I'm going to do it like that. Okay. So now when we play around with these numbers, you're going to see these change different colors. So for instance, let's change this rent again. Let's make it $300. Now we've got this brighter orange that's telling us that that's a little bit more potent of a color. It draws attention to it more than this color over here. $190 left in your account is not that bad. It's maybe something to think about and say, okay, I'm getting close. 50, you're going, okay, I'm getting really close. And then again, if I had $400 in here, I'm less than $0 here. I'm in the negative. So that's something to be really concerned about. So you can see how these cells are changing automatically just based on the amount on the numbers that we're putting in here. So realistically, what would be really nice is that let's change this number to, let's say 150, or let's say we don't pay rent on this first one for some reason. What would be really nice is if all of this just stayed white. That means we can see the numbers, we know what's going on. If we really want to focus and look at it, we can take a look at it, but nothing is like picking our attention apart right now. Okay, so once you have a color in there, it draws your attention, and if it's a really dark, bright color like red, then it's really important. So I'm going to put this back to 200, and you can see right off the bat, I have this conditional format, but it's not a big deal. It's not something to be worried about. And you can apply that to any grouping of cells, and if you wanted to delete them, if I clicked all the cells that I have that conditional format for, those 3 rules. I can come over to this window and individually delete these rules if I wanted to, just by clicking the trash can. Or I can click on the rule and I can edit it if I wanted to maybe change the font color that's in there. Should be weird, but you can edit it like that and then just click done and it'll be there. Or you can get rid of all of them. And that's how you do conditional formatting.